brought to you almost live from the Dude in the Basement Studios. Why? Because that's where the good stuff is. It's Sips, Suds, and Smokes with your smoking host, the good old boys. And now it's sippin' time.
Oh, it is definitely sippin' time today. Welcome to the Sips episode where everything good in life is worth discussing. I'm sure that you won't have any issue going head-to-head today with the Yale Baroque Opera Project, or the YBOP, as they present a production of Francesco Cavalli's mythological opera La Calistio.
We're losing listeners already.
You just lost me. What? Hold on. I nodded out for a minute. Yeah.
You know, whatever we can do to entertain our audience here.
Not so entertaining.
Nah.
Well, hey, everybody. This is good old boy Mike. And joining me here on this episode today is good old boy Greg.
Hey, Mike.
And good old gal Cary Ann.
Good morning.
And good old boy Harmeet.
Howdy, y'all.
Maid man Brent.
It's a pleasure to be here. This basement looks really large today.
Well, you know, we put up the Christmas lights just for you there, Brent. So, Maid man Bob.
I'm busy putting up the Festivus spot. Will come back to me later.
And Maid man Maury.
Good morning. Always a pleasure to be here with you clowns.
Yep. Brent, Maury, and Bob are joining us from the Bourbon Mafia. Brent, please take a moment and tell us a little bit about the Bourbon Mafia for our audience.
Okay, the Bourbon Mafia is a nonprofit organization. We're composed of bourbon enthusiasts and industry professionals. We have representation in 8 states, and our members combine a love of bourbon with a passion for charitable work. The group uses their love of our native spirit to raise money for local and national charities through rare bottle auctions and other themed events.
Greg has a blog called The Bourbon Door. Greg, why don't you tell us a little bit about your blog?
Thank you, Mike. I started Bourbon Door back in 2009 as an extension of my personal passion for all things bourbon. Over time, my interest expanded into other world whiskeys, so now my thoughts cover multiple whiskey-related posts that include Scotch, Irish, Japanese, Indian, and will soon branch out into rum. I'm also a cigar enthusiast, so a couple of posts cover that topic as well.
Great. Thank you for joining us. Cary Ann has lots of interesting things always going on her blog, Straight Up 615. Cary Ann, please tell our audience a little bit about your blog. And I know you have a lot of other things going on.
I do. So Straight Up 615, as the blog is on a small hiatus until I figure out what I'm doing, as I've just taken a big girl job. I am director of spirits for a Tennessee wholesaler, creating a whole new book. So I have now transitioned into getting paid for wandering around the country to drink whiskey.
Nice.
Well, great. So great to have everybody here. And while our sip segments are all about wine, distilled spirits, tea, and coffee, we're going to get to discuss a lot of cool things because today is our favorite things for spirits for 2016. So really great show that we have lined up. We're going to talk about our favorite whiskeys, some favorite new distilled spirit products for 2016, possibly some of our favorite places to actually enjoy distilled spirits as well in 2016. Today's show is sponsored in part by Fine Spirits, Wine and Liquor. You can find great products like these and sample fine products at the home of the Enomatic machines. You can reach them at www.facebook.com/finespirits. See, I actually concentrated on my diction there. I said Enomatic, not Enomatic. So
I was really impressed, and I wasn't going to say anything and point it out, but, you know, thank you.
I'm not going down that rabbit hole again.
You'd almost think he went to school or something.
Yeah,
we had a whole show about, what was it? Enemas because of you?
That's correct. The name of that episode was Enema and Whiskey. That is correct, yeah.
I've had some whiskeys that taste like enemas, yeah.
Well, we're not going to talk about any of those today. Another fabulous year for distilled spirits, with bourbon taking a commanding dominance of shelf space again. A lot of new products and major buzz. Our show today reflects all of this as we consider some highlighted products discussed on Sips, Suds, and Smokes for favorites of 2016. And we're probably going to drift away from that list as well. Here are a few products we're going to get to cover on today's episode. Right off the bat, George T. Stagg, 2014. Glen Grant, the 18. We're going to Jack Daniels Rye. Highland Park, 18. Angel's Envy Cask Strength, the 2014 version. Booker's Rye Limited Edition. Glengoyne, 15. And Kings County Bottled in Bond are some of the products we're going to talk about today.
I'm sorry, I have to interject here. There's a few products on here we didn't talk about on the show, man. What's going on here?
I know.
You throw in some ringers?
No, we just think that it's probably worthy to talk about some things that maybe we didn't get to on the show. That's
I'm feeling cheated. Where's my samples?
Let's see. I was thinking earlier today, how can I make sure that Harmeet doesn't have everything to drink so that he can get through the episode correctly?
Yeah, let's all just cry for the man who owns the liquor store that he doesn't have enough to drink. Okay.
There's things we can't get in Florida still.
I think he was complaining, right? So, all right. Maury gets the honors of going over our SIPS ratings for today. Maury, why don't you head out and cover those for us?
Thank you, Mike. We'll be discussing these products and rating them with these SIPS ratings, plus our signature sounds. Here are those ratings now. 1 sip. Give me a glass of water to wash out my mouth.
Water. Bring water. Bring water.
Always with the Indian. Always with the Indian.
Thank you, Harmeet. 2 sips. Nice, but what else do you have?
Well, isn't that nice?
3 sips. Interesting. What was that again?
Interesting.
4 sips. Let's keep this a secret to ourselves. Pour me another.
That's classified.
And finally, 5 sips. Oh my, I was unaware anything could be this good.
Oh my goodness! Yes! 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 Yes!
I finally heard that sound in real life. It was the neighbors.
I was going to say, it's coming through the wall next door, right? Yeah.
All right, so this year we tasted and reviewed about 50 products for 2016. And by tasted, we mean 250 a show. But there is something here for everyone. So we're going to talk about some of our favorite shows from Season 4. Bottled in Bond. The Four Roses show with Dan Gardner.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes.
What an epic day that was. It wasn't even just an episode, was it? It just lasted like a 6-hour drinking.
It was an epic day. So Buffalo Trace, Jefferson's Wood Experiment, Few Spirits. Those are a few of the things we've covered this year.
Yeah, a lot of great topics. Any that stuck out with you guys that you really you still enjoy thinking about that episode this year?
Oh yeah, there was great shows we had, but my favorite was one of the worst whiskeys this year. Remember the one we did in the old brothel? What was it? The name of that the great bar we went to in Sarasota?
Gator the Club. Gifted Horse Show that we did in Sarasota. Yeah,
you just liked it because that crazy drunk woman that was wandering around the bar.
The crazy drunk woman was
Patty.
The highlight of the show.
Yeah,
for Patty. Oh my God!
I wasn't even there.
Yeah. She even made the title of the show. Yo, Patty, we're actually drinking whiskey over here. Was the name of that episode? Yeah. So
there was also a Gifted Horse show we did there too. That was just the worst. Sorry.
Well, that was it. That was the one. That was the one.
We did 2 shows. We did 2 shows there in Sarasota. And I liked it because we actually got to sit down in the same room for once.
Yeah, that was the Glen Morangy show that we cut there as well, I think.
Right.
Yeah. Well, a lot of great things we've had out of Season 4. Greg has a topic that he wanted to bring up.
Yep. So the trend on increased demand for whiskey is generally rising, and I guess the question is, will this trend continue for 2017? And I'll answer the question with a question: does the Pope wear a funny hat? So the short answer to both is yes. I think that trend will continue since it's already happening. I don't have any industry stats to back up my claim, but simply anecdotal data based on my own experience and how demand has changed my own purchasing habits, along with noticeable changes on labels on store shelves. Gone are the days when I or any weekend enthusiast could walk into a liquor store and pick up a bottle of something special, say, I don't know, Happy Van Winkle 15 for $36 a bottle, or any of the B-Tac that sat on the shelves for months after release. Now we're faced with fighting like Black Friday shoppers over Seth Rollins' action figure. If you're looking for old Weller antique, good luck. Just to illustrate, I was in a large liquor store in South Carolina not too far back, and guess what was sold out? Old Granddad 114. The guy stocking the shelf said it was sold out in a day. So I was like, what's up with that? The reality is distilleries are increasing production, new warehousing is going up, and new distilleries are going live. So, for instance, the Bardstown Bourbon Company. And new product labels are being approved by TTB. So, interestingly, with the new Bardstown Bourbon Company, this new mega distillery will compete with MGP, who has done contract distilling for years and will provide whiskey to non-distiller producers who are now struggling with stock availability. Another interesting dynamic, and I think this is going to be brought up in the next topic, is that Constellation Brands jumps into the mix with a minority share of BBC, as well as their recent purchase to High West. On the flip side, large established distilleries like Heaven Hill and Four Roses have reduced their contract distilling over the years, and instead reserving stock for their existing labels or new product lines, which leaves a void to be filled by companies like BBC. So, all right. So I lied. I do have an interesting stat. In 2014...
Hey, 1 second there, Greg. We'll be right back after this message.
Rolling clouds and crashing surf, iridescent dunes reflecting by the light of a rising, glowing moon. Seashore mesmerizing, night breeze hypnotizing. We've come across these back roads none too soon. Look to the left, to the right. Keep your eyes on the road, my darling. Wondering if we're only passing through. Open roads and open windows. My hand is yours forever, sweet love.
Hey, welcome back to Sips, Suds, and Smokes. On today's episode, we're going through our best of Sips products for 2016. Really great discussion that we're having so far. And Greg was going through a little bit about some of the impact of looking at capacity in the bourbon industry. Greg, I'm sorry you got cut off. Why don't you finish up what you were sharing with our audience on some of the stats you ran into?
Yeah, so one of the stats I thought was really interesting is in 2014, Scotch exports sank 7%, which was the biggest drop since 1998. And I'll throw the question out there, guess what filled that void? Anybody?
Bourbon.
So the long answer is yes,
meth.
demand will increase into the new year. And let's not lose sight of the fact that prices are increasing rapidly, so stock up, boys and girls.
Prices are increasing, and that's what killed, I think, the Scotch exports. But if bourbon goes the way they're going, I think Scotch will make a rebound.
But look what's happening to Booker's is going up to $100 a bottle.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Back to crystal meth for me. Teeth are overrated. So.
Bob, everybody's
You've got 3 left,
and
Bob. It's all right. You can still chew.
Yeah, well, I'm not from Alabama, so I still have some.
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
Just really, all of you had to go there just like that. I can't believe that.
I married into this dude. I didn't know what football was.
Yeah. That you're
Still doesn't know what football is.
I don't believe that. So, Bob wanted to talk a little bit about some of the trends for this year.
Well, the big trend this year has been takeovers on a lot of levels. Bacardi completed their buyout of Angel's Envy. Constellation Brands swooped in and grabbed High West.
There was a lot of competition for that one.
I mean, it was originally advertised it was going for an auction. And I thought, well, it's an auction. What the hell? Maybe I'll bid on it. If nobody else shows up.
$1.
I'm the new guy. And to wrap up the year, Pernod Ricard is buying Smooth Ambler. So lots of brand acquisitions. What do you guys think of this trend? Is it likely to continue? Any other likely candidates that you see?
Wow. I don't know about likely, but I'm sure Four Roses is looking really good for people, right?
I don't think so. No,
too big?
No, I think they're set in stone.
Yeah, I agree. I think that would be a premium price. I can see some other... So the interesting part about this trend was the acquisitions, especially of High West and of Smooth Ambler, were actually acquisitions of people that were actually not making their own distillate for the vast majority of their product line. They're actually in a transition right now between source products, primarily from MGP, and onto some of their own distillate. And there's some other candidates, probably for this in the very near future. Carrie Ann's looking at me like, yes, there is, Mike.
Well, I mean, just on top of those, Constellation also pulled up to Tennessee and bought their stake in Nelson's Greenbrier. And again, what's on the shelves right now not being theirs. So I think they're positioning themselves to pull into any craft distillery that starts to make a mark.
Yeah. Well, and so
Constellation Brands also has a minority share in the Bardstown Bourbon Company as well.
Yeah. So very similar trend, right there with on Nelson Greenbrier as well. So they have been purchasing their juice from MGP for a lot of their product line. Some of the ones recently I know that they finished off, I actually think was their own distillate. Are they at that point? You're saying no. All right. So I thought I was off. Of course.
Is anybody going for actual distillers? What about Corsair?
Well, there you go. And it's interesting because both Nelson Greenbrier as well as Corsair, they're in the same physical complex. They're all in Marathon Motorworks in Nashville, Tennessee, and you can literally throw a stone from one distillery to the other where Corsair's at.
Sounds like the hills where my grandfather's from.
I just don't see Corsair fitting that particular mold because I think it would be very difficult to take some of that product line, especially
mainstream.
Outside the U.S.
It's not mainstream.
It's not mainstream at all.
Taking things like Outrage.
Corsair's doing what they want to do, how they want to do it, and I don't think they're going to have anybody tell them to do it differently.
I don't see Derek basically selling out either. So it's kind of interesting looking at the landscape of how acquisitions may directly impact a lot of the products, that you have seen or maybe morphing into something else, as well as new products that may come around as a result of a lot of these big chess piece moves. So we're still on the back end of seeing a lot of what happened out of Centauri, purchasing Beam. So, I think that you'll see some interesting moves, as these acquisitions move along in time as well.
It's going to be a new landscape for the craft distillers if they're opening to get acquired or if they're opening to stay true to
very true.
An ideal.
Yeah, very true.
You can't hug your ideal. You can't hug a mountain of cash.
Yeah, so that's what it all comes down to. It's there are some out there that you just get that feeling. Hey, I'm going to do it my way, and this is the way that I want to do it, and they're doing a good job, like Westland, or the guys we were just talking about, Corsair. But yeah, it's really hard to ignore that really long check.
Sometimes you get an offer you can't refuse.
Yeah,
well, it's my favorite part is,
in India we invented the zero. The number 0 came from India. And I like checks with lots of zeros in them. If you would like to buy my product.
It's funny, whenever I look at him, the first thing I think of is a zero. Yeah.
Wow. Bastard.
That's his new nickname, Mr. Zero.
Yep.
Mr. Zero.
Well, I know that a bunch of you are anticipating talking about some of our best products for 2016. Let's leap right into that. Let's start off with Brent. What's your favorite product for 2016?
Okay, well, we tasted a few different ones. So the one I picked was the George Stagg 2014. And this just is a standout. It's just a standout bourbon for me. I mean, you get the high proof of it right off the bat. You get a great nose from it. and this is a big boy product. I know it's like come to me, you know.
My death row bourbon.
Yeah, it's good, you know. So when you
I'll be sure to put you on death row.
Yeah, when you taste it, today I got a Mexican chocolate, like a Mexican dark chocolate out of it. I got, you know, and some vanilla and cinnamon, and it's got that nice long burn. It's just a great bourbon.
If you put water in it, you can avoid that burn. Just a little bit of water.
Why would you want to do that? Why would you want to do that? I mean, it's just a nice...
understand
I want
your logic.
the long finish. I want that beautiful long chocolate
This is a long finish.
But without the brick in the teeth. I want a little more subtlety, guys. Come on.
No, this is...
Drop of water.
I never like to agree with Harmeet, but I think he's correct. You'd get a lot more complexity on the finish, and it's still equally long finish.
Oh, this is a big boy bourbon here. Yeah. This is a nice one.
Take your panties off and put on some big boy drawers and drink your bourbon.
Right.
So this happened to be a product that we did review on season 4 here on Sips, Suds, and Smokes. The name of it was Angel's Envy. I can't remember the name of the episode. Anybody remember? But anyway,
something about a glitch.
The entire lineup for Angel's Envy, as well as I believe we had 2 cast strength products on that show.
On that one we had 3.
Call that 3.
Yeah,
we did have 3. Yeah,
13, 14, and 15.
So what's going to be your SIPS rating on that?
My SIPS rating on this one is 5.
Woohoo! Where's that sound effect?
Yeah,
somebody's missing on the board.
Sorry.
Oh my God!
Bob had a glass in his hand. He couldn't hit the board.
Greg, I know you had a lot of great products for 2016 as well. What's your favorite?
So this is me being a rebel and talk about something that should have been reviewed, and that is Jack Daniel's Rye. So as many of you know, they celebrated their 150th anniversary this year, and leading up to that milestone, they've done some unique releases. They did the Cask Strength Bourbon in 2015, and then on the heels of that, they released a 94 proof whiskey in February of this year. The recipe is a 70-18-12% combination of rye, corn, and barley, which is their newest recipe in, about a century. So I think that's interesting. They jumped into rye foray. This isn't super aged. It's about 4 years old based on when they started distilling. Shortly after they began distilling the rye, they released the whiskey unaged, so consumers could get acquainted with this new whiskey in its pure form. Then they did another release in 2014 called Rested Rye. So I chose to focus on this release for a couple of factors. First, it's easily found. Second, it's a great younger rye that I find to be flavorful, well-rounded, and while the price point is a little high at about $60 here in Virginia, I think it's worth having on the bar. The rye whiskey has been making a comeback in recent years. The selections are still relatively small compared to bourbon. So I'm not easily impressed with standard off-the-shelf offerings, but this one impressed me. Plus, I'm glad that Jack Daniel's jumped into the rye production. So the nose, soft rye character with a touch of marzipan. The entry was soft spices of clove and cinnamon. Up front with a little kick of oat around mid-palate. There's an underlying sweetness of moderate brown sugar and vanilla. The finish, I think this is where the whiskey shines. The finish is moderately long with entry flavors carrying through to the last. The barrel notes are in check, and the whole way riding a layer of creamy bacon spice. Overall, nice transitions. Historically, I've not been a fan of Jack Daniel's, but I think this one is a winner, and you can enjoy it today without too much trouble. Finally, keep in mind this is a single barrel expression and can vary accordingly. My SIPS rating is a 4.
Nice.
Greg, I think Mike was having a seizure with his right arm over here. But I happen to agree with you on this one. I love that Jack Daniel's Rye. I don't enjoy the Banana Foster on every one of their other products, but this one I feel like it really shines.
I don't get the bananas at all in this release. I think it's a nice deviation from what their normal product line offers.
I think this is the best thing that Jack Daniel's makes right now. And now Maury's going to disagree with me.
No, I love this product. I love the rye.
Maury's a diehard Jack guy, though.
But I think they've done a great job with it. I think it's well-rounded, smooth transition. It comes in really nice with a slightly sweet entry, and then it's big and bold and spicy mid-palate. It's got a nice long finish, and I think it's polished. I don't think it tastes young at all. I think it tastes mature. The Rested Rye I thought was young. I used to like that in cocktails quite a bit. I think this rye is relatively mature.
I gotta disagree. I disagree with both of you because I think I like older ryes. I think 4 years, which is this is probably we guessed this is the age on this one, a little bit younger. I'd like to see this at 2 more years.
Well, it'll be interesting, as Brown-Forman actually, gets used to this in their product line, which is a very mature product line. I thought it was very interesting that they actually chose to do anything, outside basically Jack Daniel's itself. So for them to actually go with something that was outside that taste profile, because they've really played around a whole lot with the Jack Daniel's line. I mean, they've done Gentleman Jack. They've come out with
Masters collections,
the Sinatra series, and the Masters collection. And I was thinking they added one more thing to the product line.
Cooper's Craft. Cooper's Craft came out. That's their new one. Because that goes back to what Greg was talking about: expansion, right?
I'm sorry, we had to bring a bucket over here to help Cary Ann get through that moment. So
Cooper's,
I just have one thing to add to this rye conversation. Is I, with Straight Up 615, had the opportunity to sit down with Jeff and talk to him about the rye as it was coming out, and he said very clearly a lot of people assume this is 4 years old because they were marking it by when the unaged and when the rested came out, and that it's actually a little older than that. So I think we're already looking at probably a 5 to 6 year old product on the shelf.
Okay, then it needs to be 7 to 8 years old. I'll tell you.
No, Cary Ann's right on. It's closer to 5 or 6 years old, and
there's something missing for me. I mean, I like it, but I'm looking for a little more citrus. I don't know, something.
Well, great pick, Greg. I'm so glad you enjoyed it this year. Harmeet, why don't you swing around and talk about your favorite product for 2016?
Let me just say, you bourbon geeks are freaking me out, man. What's wrong with Scotch? My pick of the year was Highland Park 18, and I think it's just a gorgeous whiskey. I don't think it's the best whiskey I tasted this year because it's not on my unicorn list, but it's something you can get everywhere. Not too expensive, under $100 usually. F. Paul Picult picked it as the best spirit in the world back in 2005 and then again in 2009. The color is gorgeous, burnished gold. It's bright. It's beautiful. The nose is rich. And excuse me, one second. Oh yeah, that's nice.
It's made by Vikings. What more do you want?
Made by Vikings, man. Where's my music? Didn't you have the music for me?
I like it.
Immigrant song.
Great, right? Another.
There you go. No, that's fine. But
I like it.
Again?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. So it's cocoa, old leather.
I can get you Loki back if you want him.
The Loki was good, but no more. But this is just such a complex, beautiful whiskey with and without water. I mean, the peat is very light. I mean, I love big peat whiskeys, but this is gorgeous and subtle and elegant. Dried fruit, sherry. There's a nuttiness on the finish. This is just a beautiful, creamy, full-flavored Scotch. Spices. It just goes on and on and on, just like me. I go on and on and on, and I gave it 5 sips.
You're un-American for picking a non-American whiskey.
Oh, my goodness.
I am maybe American. I may be Indian by birth, but I became an American man. I am completely American, and I even miscegenated with one of your white women, and now I have an American girl.
Roll Tide.
3 years old, Monday. Woohoo!
Yeah, I got to agree. The Highland Park 18 was really a stellar expression. There's nothing wrong with this. It's hitting it on all cylinders. Like Harm said, I enjoy peated whiskey. I enjoy an Octomore on occasion.
That's just nuts.
but you have to be in a mood for it. And I won't drink a heavily peated whiskey just sitting around the house. Maybe I'll have a sip. That's the last thing I'll ever pick. This I'll pick every time. I mean, it's so subtle. There are so many layers to this, and it just goes on and on and on in the palate. It's really an excellent whiskey.
So, I was not on the show that you guys covered all the Highland Park. But I did have all these products. I ended up taking it to a private tasting, and it was a kind of crowd of like 6-8 people. We kind of went through the whole thing. We all agreed that this was the swan song moment for a lot of the Highland Park products. The 15 that was really, I think it was the 15 that was right before this. Is that right?
Yeah.
Anyway, it was definitely getting there, but. For bang for buck in that lineup, this was definitely the highlighted choice. The other ones, the Ice, and what was the other ones in the
Dark Origins.
Yeah, the Dark Origins was really great, and I think probably for double the price point, we all agreed that the Dark Origins was our choice over the Ice product, but definitely for bang for buck and really showing everything I thought the juice would actually give up. The 18 I thought was a really great choice. So fabulous choice there, Harmeet.
Well, thank you.
Yes.
I take all the credit for it. The distiller had nothing to do with it.
There are other people that like Scotch, including moi. So Mike's, good old boy Mike's pick is coming up right here. So last year, listen, I chose Heaven Hill Select Stock, and it was actually the expression of the wheated in cognac barrels for 36 months.
Where is my sample? I want that.
Yeah.
What, the Select Stock?
It was
finished in a cognac barrel for 36 months?
Yeah, go in the other room, hang a right, go to the bar, little squat bottle, help yourself.
Pardon me.
Go. So they actually changed this up this year. They actually moved the finish time down to 22 months. It's really still awesome, but it's just not quite the same. Heaven Hill actually put another product on the Select Stock line, actually the Fire Anniversary they released on. But we may have that on a future show. So, we really had a lot of great products on the show that were amazing. I am actually going to venture off our products that we had on the show, and I've got something very cool to talk about that I had a private tasting back in June. So this will be very interesting.
I call shenanigans.
It must have been private. I didn't get any.
Yeah.
Shenanigans.
We'll talk about it in just a moment.
But baby, the whole elation riding down this lover's avenue, as slow as a willow blows, or as fast as the whirlwind grows, we glide beneath the stars in cobalt blue. Look to the left, to the right, keep your eyes on the road, my darling, wondering if we're only passing through. Open roads and open windows, my hand is yours forever, sweet love. Our eyes ahead on these back roads with a view.
Hey, welcome back to Sips, Suds, and Smokes. On today's episode, we're talking about our top picks for 2016. Good old boy Mike was going through his top pick for 2016. That is his good old boy Mike. My top pick is going to
I love it when you speak in the third person, Mike. It makes you very presidential.
Well, I could be both host and contributor.
It's the first thing that happens to serial killers. They start talking about themselves in the third person. And then the next
I'm
thing
about to name a scotch, so I would think Harmeet would be standing up and applauding already.
Here.
So
puts the lotion on its skin, or else it gets the hose again.
It is going to be.
Let him talk about scotch, Bob.
My top pick is the Glen 18. It is a Speyside single malt scotch. So we actually didn't have this product on the show, and even then, it probably would have only been on the high-end Unicorn show that we had this year. This product also had what I thought was an unusual release date in May. There have been a lot of products that we've seen them kind of go through a bit of some revamp packaging and branding. You've probably already seen Glen in a lot of different private bottlings, like Signatory carries many different years, including the coveted 25-year. We've talked about how the landscape of independent bottlers can create confusion for the average consumer, and for Glen it's actually 27 different bottlers. And, a lot of those bottlers carry 18, 20 different, varieties of Glen. So it's not unusual with, a lot of this landscape for you to kind of, not quite sure that you have the same thing. But this particular product, the Glen 18, is in their glass, meaning their bottle. And nobody else has this particular product that I'm aware of. So first off, this is actually not the big brother of a very popular 12-year Glen, which frankly I loathe. It's a bit too sweet. and I just, never really found a lot of favor with it. The 18 actually gives up a lot of that sweetness, and the first thing that hits you is kind of this muted, musty nose. But it's very inviting. It's like somebody saying, "Come hither." There's a little bit more beyond this. You'll catch up on hints of apple, honey. Some nut will actually kind of wash over your the aroma. Take a good sip of this, and you'll go, "Wow, that is not quite what I was smelling." The thing that'll hit you is, I actually wrote down, it tastes like a Nilla wafer with nuts that's kind of dusted with a bit of cocoa and toffee.
Now I'm just getting angry you didn't send me some.
I know, yeah. So it was just this amazing experience. I actually remember where I was in the room at this tasting, and I actually kind of walked over into a corner. I was like,
I can guess where he was in the
you
room.
Belong in the corner for this one.
Yeah. So this is probably the best Speyside that I've had since my favorite, which is Gordon MacPhail's Macallan Speyside 1982 bottling. Just sublime.
Yeah.
I mean, I just can't get enough of that. I'm probably down to my last 2.5 ounces of that, and I just stare at it all day long and go, I can't finish that bottle.
I have a bottle, actually, and now I'm not going to send it to you.
Well, there you go. I just really thought that I would never find a rich and complex Speyside once again, and this particular bottling was everything you were absolutely looking for. The only thing that sucks about this is it's in short supply, with a lot of the switch over to this new packaging. So, but it can be found with a little bit of hunting, and I think that as the popularity of this, is going to pick up, I think they'll probably release maybe more of the distillate for this. My SIPS rating for the Glengoyne 18 is a solid 5.
Oh my goodness! Yes!
I'm on their website now. That's a beautiful new package. I can't wait to get this on my shelves.
Yeah, and I couldn't. It was difficult for me to not talk it up too much and not let it just pass by our discussion for today. Bob, you're up for your favorite product for 2016.
All right, hold on.
Excuse me while I whip this out. Excuse me while I whip this out.
You miss it?
Yeah. This is almost a family show. Hang on a second. I've got to avert my eyes.
I can't. He can never just hit the button once. He's always double clicking.
No, because you don't ever listen the first time. So, my product that I picked was the Glengoyne 15 from a show that we just did recently.
Is that 3 scotches in a row?
Yep.
It is.
Oh
How
my God.
about that?
Woo! Yeah.
You were.
I'm trying to help balance it out.
You were complaining about it earlier. I can't believe that. So,
but it's a Glengoyne's in Dumgoyne. It's a Highland.
Dumgoyne again.
Sort of.
The gun with the Dumgoyne.
We're Dumgoyne. What do you want? It's classified as a Highland, although I believe a couple of its tonnage warehouses actually lie on the dividing line between Highland and Lowland. But it's a lovely,
low Highland, high lowland.
It's a lovely Scotch. Their water comes from the Glengoyne burn. They air dry their barley. They don't peat it. They've been doing the same thing there for over 100 years. They bound the same sherry cask in the same family for over 100 years.
Low and slow, like good barbecue.
They don't add caramel coloring to it. They leave it the way that it needs to be. This one is a what's the ABV on this? 43%. Won a gold medal in the San Francisco World Spirits Competition a couple of years ago. I think it's 50% is refill, 20% is first fill sherry, and 30% is first fill bourbon casks. It's got a great color, just a beautiful bright gold to it. It's got a wonderful nose. I pick up lemon and nuts on it. It's oily, it's mouth coating, it's got a good long finish, some nice citrus to it. Just an exceptional malt for a really decent price. Give it a 5.
Oh my goodness!
Yes!
Really awesome product, and we're actually tasting it here as well, and just a fabulous choice. And I agree. 3 super solid Scotch choices, that we've talked about. Let's keep moving right along really quick, though. Cary ends up next with her top product for 2016.
This one, again, I don't think was reviewed this year. Should have been. Tisk. So I'm going with Kings County.
Well, I think so. This was not released when we did the Bottle and Bond show, which was this time last year. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
I think I missed.
So whose fault is
Bottle
that?
Bond,
Yeah, whose fault was that? Yeah, okay.
Right. Yeah. So,
Harmeet.
So this
Blame
is
the brown
Kings
guy.
County Bottled and Bond straight bourbon whiskey. It did come out in the spring of this year, so it's right at 4 years old when they pulled it. This particular pull was from a 15-gallon 4-year-old bourbon, and I just really love what they're doing up there.
Did you say 15-gallon?
Go ahead.
Would you say 15-gallon? What did you say?
15-gallon.
So
Small
should this
barrel.
be on the Unicorn Show?
no.
No, it was a small barrel.
Yeah, very small barrel.
So Kings County is doing filling all different sizes of barrels, and while they're kind of waiting for some of those larger barrels to age up, they're putting together smaller barrels. This is a 15-gallon barrel that they aged to 4 years and pulled as a bottled and bond expression. And I think at 100 proof, that 15-gallon barrel really shines through and getting a lot of that leather and tobacco on the nose. And, the finish to me is really long, and I love it. It's got a little cocoa on it. Mike's drinking it over there.
I am, yeah. A lot of leather off this.
My mouth is watering, waiting to get some.
Where's our sample?
I know that.
Nothing ever comes to Florida. You guys could just put that in the mail.
Yeah, the Kings County doesn't come to Florida.
Could you fax me a sample, perhaps?
Less bitching, more talking.
More drinking.
So, the things that they're doing up there, this is a 70% corn and 30% malted barley. That corn comes through super sweet. It's really mingling in that 15-gallon barrel at 4 years, and I'm giving this a solid 4. Can't wait to see what they do at a 53-gallon.
Huh.
That's classified.
Yeah, so today is the first chance I've had to enjoy this, and I will tell you it's really solid. I think the thing that strikes me about this is the depth of character of this particular product. Leathery would be, definitely the probably the first word that I would use, and really great lineup. I've had a lot of the other Kings County, and I think this is a wonderful addition to what they're going to offer. So I look forward to seeing how other people react to this.
As an asterisk, I represent this product in the Tennessee markets.
I'd like to see
well,
the
we've
packaging.
been actually tasting the Heaven Hill White Label Bottle and Bond right alongside this at the same time, and I actually like the Kings County better. So kudos, really great.
Wow.
So how many bottles did they produce of this one that you're...
This was out of a 15-gallon barrel, so it was about 110, somewhere in that neighborhood. I know.
So I stand by my assertion. This should be on the Unicorn Show. How are you going to find this stuff?
Yeah, well,
I have it.
I think they'll.
How about you send us some love to the Sunshine State?
Some love here, yeah.
Wow, man. Well, let's keep moving right on along. Maury's up next. We're talking about his favorite product for 2016.
Thanks, Mike. Well, I'm hearkening back to the Angel's Envy show where we looked at different years of the Angel Envy cask strength. And I think in keeping with the spirit of the show, the 2014 really just stood out as a really all-around favorite. It's just got beautiful balance. It's got depth of flavor. It's got all the classic flavors of bourbon. Nice long finish, balance, not a real lot of burn. And I really just can't say enough good things about the Angel's Envy cask strength line in general. But the 2014, among the other years that we compared, really was a standout. And with that, I give it a solid 5 sip rating.
Oh my goodness!
Nice. I see you have a bottle of 2014 there in front of you. May I?
You may.
Nice. Yeah, don't bogart the Angel's Envy.
Yeah. Well, and I'm catching myself now. So earlier when Brent was talking about the GTS, I think I was talking about the Angel's Envy. And intermixing the two. Actually, the George T. Stagg 2014 was on the show that we did, Guess My Age, out of the Bell's Cocktail House. I think that was one of the expressions of George T. Stagg that we had. But yes, absolutely, we covered all three of the cast strength versions on the Angel's Envy Cask show this year, and a lot of great discussion. We really all loved the Cask strength versions, although there was a lot of disparity from one year to the next. They definitely were not all the same. There were a lot of unique characteristics, from one year to the next. So I would say if you don't like one year, don't write off the entire series.
No, they vary so much. You're
every year is
they really do.
A box of chocolate. You never know what you're going to get.
Yeah, we actually have the 2015 here in our studio today, and it's singing pretty good, isn't it, Cary Ann? I mean, I kind of liked it a lot, and I think it's definitely different than the 2014.
Cary Ann's silence is deafening. The 2014 was better.
I'm going to have to refresh my memory.
Yeah, she pours another dram first. So.
Yeah, the 14's got the caramel and the vanilla just really stick out for me on that one. To add into the flavors, it's clearly my favorite of all of them, even after trying this year's.
One of the products that really caught a lot of our attention was the Booker's Rye that was released summertime, August, something like that.
I can't believe one of us didn't do that one. That's a great product.
I know. And, I remember almost probably the first 3 times, that I had this. And, Cary Ann, it does not come with a handle that you can chug it.
Chug challenge 16.
But the thing that I remember most people, their reaction around the Booker's Rye this year was, and it was actually John, good old boy John, was the one that I thought he really had a good way of describing this. This is a bourbon drinker's rye, because it really is quite soft for most of the rye expressions that tend to have a lot of spice, and they have a combination of a lot of heat and a lot of spice that, maybe not, for everybody. I'm a weeder. I will confess that, that is my wheelhouse, and I really love this. I thought it was very approachable, and a lot of people really love this. It hit a lot of other short lists for 2016, and I didn't want it to just kind of cast by here. I think probably the interesting conversation I've had more than anything is, will Beam actually release this again, in the very near future? Any takers on that question?
Yeah, I don't know that they know the recipe for this. This was this was Booker's recipe, and I don't know that Fred knows the recipe to recreate it. That's what I've heard.
I heard it was a one-time thing.
They sold it $300.
So I know that Harmeet's going to share with our audience a little bit about our good sipping zones.
So last year we had some great nominees picked by our listeners, and let's give them a shout-out. Multnomah Whiskey Library in Portland, Oregon. The Principal's Office in Colorado Springs, Colorado. Jack Rose Dining Saloon in Washington, D.C. And the Haymarket Whiskey Bar in Louisville, Kentucky. So Jack Rose won last year. We just eked it out with this in the context, because you got to give their barrel picks, a huge shout-out. So this year we're going to do it a little differently. We're changing it up, and what we're going to do is just have you guys name some good zipping zones, and we'll just post them. No contest. So just give us your list of places, and we'll put them online. So, here's our list for 2016 from our friends from the Bourbon Review. We had a little help from them. There's Bell's Cocktail House in Lexington, Kentucky. That's where they recorded the Guess My Age episode, which I didn't get to be on, damn it. McCormick's Big Whiskey Grill in Tuckahoe, Virginia. Insert your own joke here, kids. Email it to us. I want to hear the Tuckahoe jokes. Bar Stash, Fort Lauderdale, Florida, where we are, right down in our own backyard. Hardwater in San Francisco, California, because we do love you guys on the West Coast, too. Mike, what do you got to say?
Well, we hope you've enjoyed this episode. You can catch all of our episodes online on SoundCloud, TuneIn, Stitcher, PRX, and Spreaker, our native media host. iTunes and our own Android app are the easiest ways to enjoy the show. On your phone, just search for Sips, Suds, Smokes on iTunes or in the Google Play Store. Just tap on subscribe and boom, there all the episodes will be right there on your phone all the time. We love your feedback, and you can reach us online anytime at info@sipsudsandsmokes.com. Our daily tasting notes flow out on Twitter every single day. Our handle is @SipSudsSmoke, and our Facebook page is always buzzing with lots of news. Join us there. You'll get a chance to interact with thousands of our fans if you join us online. Do us a favor and take the time to send some feedback to this station or wherever you're listening to us. I definitely want to take the time to thank all of our hosts for joining us for today. We'll start off with Greg. Thank you for joining us for this episode.
Thank you, Mike. I enjoyed it.
And good old gal Cary Ann.
Keep it in the middle of the limestone, y'all.
Wow, I love that tagline.
I like it.
She set the bar pretty high. Brent, go for it.
I love spending time in the basement.
And good old, and Main Man Maury.
Thanks, Mike. It's been a pleasure. Always fun hanging out with you guys.
And Main Man Maury. I'm sorry, Main Man Bob. I'm sorry.
Somebody's been drinking too much.
It's
always
that should be your tagline, Bob.
always a pleasure to be here.
Good. I didn't forget anybody, did I?
Nobody, the Indian. It's always the brown guy. You always forget the brown guy.
He's the guy who invented zero, so he has nothing to say.
I was just waiting for him to chime in. Good old boy, Harmeet. Thank you.
Yeah. Sweetie, if I don't come home, search for my body in the bay. I'm hanging out with all the made men.
Well,
Roll Tide.
This is good old boy Mike asking you to come back, join us once again for a fabulous season 5, and keep on sipping.
This has been a One Tan Hand production of Sips, Suds, and Smokes, a program devoted to the appreciation of some of the finer slices of life. From the Dude in the Basement Studios, your hosts, the Good Old Boys, will see y'all next time.